Brand on that story. Boy, crazy to have this back in the news. Let's see what Brian Claypool thinks is going to happen. The trial attorney joins us from out in L.A. right now. Where do you think this is all going? Amazing we're talking about the Menendez brothers again.
Hey, Connell. Well, good to see you again, and great coverage, by the way, with the presidential election. Look, I know George Gascon's office here in L.A. He's notorious, Connell, for resentencing. He's resentenced 300 convicted defendants in Los Angeles County over the 3.5 years he's been in office, and he proclaims that only 4 have gone on to commit another crime. Why is that important? Because I think he is seriously looking at the new evidence with an eye toward resentencing. And you posted a picture of that letter. That's an important letter. I represent a lot of sexual abuse victims. I've had clients, Connell, who were molested when they were teenagers and have gone on to try to commit suicide.
Let's read through it just so, I mean, I'm sure everyone is now, but let's just read through this because you're right, it is important. I've been trying to avoid dad. This is Eric writing to his cousin about his father's alleged abuse. It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. I can't explain it. He's so overweight. I can't stand to see him every night. I stay up thinking he's going to might come in. I need to put him out of my mind. I know what you said before, but I'm afraid you just don't know Dad like I do. He's crazy. He warned me 100 times about telling anyone, especially Lyle, his brother. So the importance of the letter.
Yeah, Connell, the letter is critical. Why? Because it portrays a helpless teenager at the time, somebody who's crying out for help. He's saying, and the big thing here is the fear, right? And I see that in a lot of victims. They're told if you tell anybody something bad is going to happen to you or your brother. And that's what he's saying in there. He's saying, look, 100 times he's told me not to tell anybody. He's afraid of something. He didn't come right out and say it, but look, the inference is there, and this is a desperate young man. And I think it needs to be looked at if we haven't talked about an evidentiary issue, and that's what the DA is talking about. You've got to authenticate that. So it needs to be considered for sentencing.
And then if it does for sentencing, they've done maybe 30 years, right? So that would be, so then you maybe, if they make any changes at all, looking at time served is not very far-fetched.
Right, exactly, because there's a defense called diminished actuality defense in California. It's different than diminished capacity, came in the early 1980s in California. Basically, it says if somebody has a mental state or a mental impairment that deprives them from forming the premeditation to kill somebody or the intent to kill, that's admissible to reduce the crime from first-degree murder down to manslaughter. And that's exactly what his lawyers are arguing. And look, it's conceivable these two get out on time served.
We're going to continue to follow this. I want to throw a piece of breaking news at you that just came in, not from L.A., but from New York. The mayor of New York, Eric Adams, has been in the news a lot lately. Well, our News Nation station here in New York, the Pix 11 News, just confirmed in their reporting that Sheena Wright, one of his deputy mayors, in fact, what they call the first deputy mayor in New York City, is set to resign. She, if you've been following this back and forth as she is to the right of Adams, is the wife of David Banks, the school chancellor, is resigning. His brother's involved. There's a lot of back and forth in terms of the investigation around this administration. What do you think it means that she's resigning? I mean, does it tell us anything about the overall investigation, I wonder?
Yeah, Connell, absolutely. I mean, this is bad news for Eric Adams. This is his right-hand person. She would take over as mayor if he's out, and she's now leaving. That signals to me that she likely has been in discussion with federal prosecutors. She's not going to walk away from this job without having talked to these prosecutors. And I don't have evidence of it, but I would think that it's possible that she has already carved out some kind of immunity deal for herself in return for information that might implicate Eric Adams. So this is definitely horrific news for Eric Adams.
Yeah, we know he's been indicted, and we know they're dropping like flies in this administration. But to your point, this is the first deputy mayor. Thank you, Brian, on all of that. The breaking news included Brian Claypool with us today. Now coming up,